Okay, let's talk about adjusting for dividends now. So remember that most of the stocks, they might have some dividend payments time to time. Um, and if we are holding the stock, then we might receive some dividend payments when we are calculating our return from t-1 to t. Therefore, we need to take into account of this dividend payment, which is often called as a dividend yield. So the net return calculation for this asset becomes PT plus DT minus PT minus 1, and then we divide by PT minus 1. So usually we don't have this dividend if there is no dividend payment, but when the dividend comes, we should consider that as part of our return and add basically to our capital gain. So this first ratio, which gives us the capital gain, we are adding that with the dividend yield, which is the second term in this equation 14. So the total gross return is represented as PT plus the dividend payments from t-1 to t, and we are dividing this with the previous time period's price at t-1. Let's also talk about adjusting for inflation. We know that inflation is captured by the consumer price index. That's often what we use as a proxy to capture or measure the level of inflation from t-1 to t. So we denote it by the CPI here. So that's the consumer price index. Basically, it's a price index based on a basket of goods in an economy that we think it represents the average consumer's expenses. So basically, we can obtain the so-called real price at time t by dividing the stock price at time t by the CPI at time t. And when you want to get the real return, then you will be working with this so-called scaled real prices. But each of these real prices are simply the growth or the ratio of this stock price with respect to this underlying CPI index. So by doing this, we are scaling all the nominal terms with respect to the consumer's price index. So this can also be rewritten by some simple algebra. You can rewrite this real return as, so this is the gross return times, this is the basically CPI at t-1 divided by CPI at time t, and we are subtracting -1 to get the net return in real terms. Alternatively, you can define inflation with this pi of t as the percentage change in CPI. So this means basically the inflation is basically calculated as the percentage change in the consumer's price index from t-1 to time t. And this can be written to calculate the real return by using the inflation, which is now defined as the percentage change in the CPI. So you can rewrite the same real return in terms of the inflation rate as well.